So we get the Commanders. Let's talk Jayden Daniels. We'll start with him. He looked pretty good. Like good enough where, all right, he's going to be the starter, but they don't want to say it yet.
Yeah, I as close as you can get to 100% without being 100%. I would say he's going to be the starter here. And I think, a lot of people would say, well, why don't you just do what Chicago did? Well, the Commanders are in a much different place than the Bears are. The Bears did it almost out of service to their team, right? Like where it's like, okay, like we've got a veteran team. You have a coach and GM who are in their third year. It makes sense for them not to fiddle around with anything, right? Like just install him as a starter. So Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and Tevin Jenkins and all those veteran players, Cole Kmet, those veteran players they have on that side of the ball can start to grow with him, right? Because those guys don't want to wait to win. The Commanders are starting from ground zero. And so, I think a big part of making him win the job is you want to make every rookie win the job, especially when you're telling Bobby Wagner or Jonathan Allen or Terry McLaurin that every position is open, right? Like, because you're trying to preach competition. So I think everybody knows the score here. He's taking all the first team reps. He's operating as a starter would. They just haven't declared it yet. And I will say this too, Andrew. You can't walk 5 feet in this place without hearing from somebody else how good Jayden Daniels has looked, how good he's been. I think because of the offense they're going to run here, he has a real chance to hit the ground running as a rookie.
Is there any concern? It's going to sound like a shot at Cliff Kingsbury. It isn't. Mm-hmm. But is there any concern that this offense? Yeah. I just hope they protect him. Let me just put it that way. Yeah. I hope there are answers to the test here for Jayden Daniels to make sure that he doesn't get beat up and he doesn't have to be like Kyler. And they're different players, I realize, running around in circles back there.
Yep. So a couple things there. Number one, they have talked to him about, and have you seen the Looney Tunes video?
No.
Andrew? Okay, so anybody who's listening can go look it up. You can go on Twitter and search Jayden Daniels and Looney Tunes.
Okay, here I go.
I'm serious. Like when you guys watch it, you'll want to watch it 10 times. It's got Looney Tunes sound effects to Jayden Daniels taking hits in college, and it's funny to watch because it's all the sound effects from when we were kids. And it's timed up really nicely. It's well done, but it also underscores like that this is a guy who did take a lot of big hits in college, and this is not a guy who's built like Cam Newton. And so, like what you're talking about doesn't just apply to protecting him in the passing game; it applies to protecting him in the run game.
Sure.
And he barely ever got hurt in college, so that's to his credit. But you add one thing to the other, the build to the amount of damage he's typically taken. And it was a real concern, not just for the Commanders, but for every team that was evaluating Jayden Daniels, going into the draft in April. And so that's something they're very much going to have to address. They've got issues at tackle. So they're going to have to take care of it, with how they protect. And then, like they're going to want to take advantage of who he is as a runner. And so if you're going to do that, you got to, teach him and ingrain in him, like the importance of, sometimes you can be in 2nd and 6. You don't need to get to 2nd and 2, And if there's a 80-yard run there for you, take it. But, you don't always have to put your head down and grind out the extra couple of yards. And so, it's a credit to Jayden Daniels because he's tough and he's willing to take the hits, but it's something they have to work on with him. And I think another way that they're going to manage this is through the run game. It's more difficult to get to the quarterback if you're effective running the ball. And they feel like they've got a couple of really good backs in Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, who's been fantastic. Eckler's been great on the field and does seem like he's got some juice left coming over from the Chargers. So, I'd say it's, having Jayden being cognizant of the fact that he can't take hits the way that he did in college. It's, leaning on the run game, which naturally will slow down the pass rush. And then it's managing your offensive line issue in a certain way. And I think Cliff's smart enough to coach around his personnel. And, even though like in Arizona, there were a lot of times when, they weren't keeping 6 or 7 guys in to protect. I think they're well aware that their tackle issue being what it is, there are going to be times where they're going to have to do that a little bit more often in 2024.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.